Paid for. State knows our gateway funds.
7:23 now on the hour. Clements, 20% chance of afternoon showers, mostly just sunny and hot. Heat advisory in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. High temp near 98 with a heat index of 106. Have a great afternoon. It's 76 right now.
Best music.
Your music station. Feeling good. KAGA.
I told you last time that it's a busy week. So I've decided to bring you along to my day job and show you exactly why I don't have time to do any work on Pearl. Hi, I'm Russ. I'm rebuilding a 1977 Mobile Traveler motorhome. This is all about the MT and me. Welcome back to the MT and me. Let me give you a little idea of what's going on here. First of all, like I said, I brought you to work with me. My day job is on my local radio station, and this is the studio right here that I spend a lot of my time in. Each and every morning, as a matter of fact. And there are several others that I'll show you here in a second, too. We are embarking on a major upgrade of our on-air automation system, changing it out completely on 4 different radio stations. So we're having to do one at a time, naturally. And it involves swapping out computer systems, copying a complete catalog of digital commercials and music from one system over to another, for 4 different stations. This is getting exciting, isn't it? and a few other bits and bats, plus the fact that I've got to learn a completely new automation system to use in my live on-air show. So, yeah, stress levels just about like that, you know, around here. I've already hit a snag this morning. We were going to get started in one of our studios that I'll show you in a second, and we discovered that we don't have the proper connections to interface some parts of the new automation system. So my boss is off looking for that, and I'm kind of left here making more preparations, a little bit of paperwork, a little bit of planning on exactly how we're going to make the transition on one room in each one of the rooms, I guess, each one of the studios. We've got some of the equipment installed, but nothing's hooked up yet, except in one studio where we're actually transferring one system to another. That's getting a little deep for you, but anyway, so far it's off to a rosy start this morning that we couldn't do what we had planned to do, so maybe later on. In the meantime, I thought I'd show you the place. Like I said, this is Control Room A for 104.9 FM, which is where I work each and every morning of the week playing today's country. This is the studio for one of our other FM stations. This one programs contemporary Christian music 24/7. And it's also one of the studios that we have part of the new equipment installed. The new computer, much smaller than the old ones we had. Monitor, keyboard, and also you can see this on the wall, which is kind of a big audio switcher that yours truly is going to have to wire up within the next few days. We also have an AM radio station that broadcasts sports talk 24 hours a day. And here again, in this small studio, we've got part of the new equipment installed. The computer, the switchers on the wall back there, even the new monitor behind us. Once again, it's all put in, but nothing's hooked up at this point.
Kim Center, Fountain Hill. Doors open at 7 p.m.
While we're at it, this is another studio that I spend a lot of time in. It's not one that we broadcast from, but it's our main production facility where we record our local commercials and a lot of other local programming that we do. And a lot of times when I'm not on the air, I have something to record. This is the room it happens in. And it's one that we don't have to really upgrade the automation in. So, score one for me. One studio that doesn't have to be modified. But there is one other that does. And that would be this one. This is our other FM station studio, and it is the newest studio that we have. It's the most recently constructed. But we still have to upgrade the on-air system. It is running an older version of the same thing we're installing, so the installation's a little bit different. Part of the equipment is already here and already wired in. We basically just have to swap out computers and learn the new programming, which is what we're going to do first before we tackle all of those other rooms that I showed you. But like I said, we ran into a snag. We had intended on starting in here this morning, and we ran into a snag in that we couldn't interface the new computers with part of that switcher equipment without a certain little piece of an adapter. Well, that's what my boss is looking for now, and we have fingers crossed he'll find what he needs, and maybe tomorrow morning we can get started on the transition to a whole new world of broadcasting for all of us here at CrossIt Radio. In the meantime, now you've seen where I do my day job. Maybe tomorrow you'll get a chance at watching me do some more of that day job here on the MT and Me. So it looks like we're going to have to wait a few days to get our adapters that we need, since we had to order them. Couldn't find them anywhere locally or even regionally. So they're ordered. They're going to be 2, maybe 3 days getting here. So in the meantime, I've got plenty of wiring to do that I can work on in advance. And the wiring all goes into these. These are called Molex connectors. They are 9-pin connectors. This is just a plastic sleeve. You have these little bitty pins that you put on the end of your wires and then insert. And then they plug in on the switcher that I showed you to make the connection for the audio feeds, the inputs, the outputs, and also all of the other telemetry that goes between a typical satellite receiver and an automation system. Things that can make the commercials play when they're supposed to and perform other functions without getting into a total tutorial on radio automation. Just trust me, it takes a lot of wires and a lot of connections. And all those connections in this system we're installing are made through these. So the process is you take the wire, you put the pin on the wire, and then you put the pin in the proper hole of the Molex connector. It snaps in place, you plug it in, and you've got your connection. So, that's what I'm going to be doing today. I have this wire for audio. The connector for the satellite receiver is already on the end of it. These wires have been cut and trimmed for the connectors. Now we're going to put the pins on. There. It's been a while since I messed with Molex connectors. I had almost forgotten how much fun they were to try and get the pins on. Not. So, anyway, now it comes down to putting the pins in the connector, and the main thing there is to be sure you get them in the right holes. There is this handy little tool that you can use to take them back out and put them in the correct hole in case you do make a mistake. But I just as soon get it right the first time. So, I've got the book, tells me what pin goes where. You go to put these in, you just push them in the hole until they snap. And they're in. And voila. Hopefully, this is a correctly installed audio connector for my satellite feed. We'll find out once we get this thing all set up and can run it through the test mode. That's when you discover if all of your wiring is correct. If it's not, then I get to do this all over again. Fingers crossed. Now, I mentioned that there's another signal, aside from the sound, that has all the signals that come from the satellite to tell the automation system what to do. I have a pre-wired cord for that one. The Molex connector's already set up. I just have free wires on the end. They have to go on to a multi-pin connector that plugs into the back of the satellite. One of these, specifically, it's called a DB37. It's got 37 individual pins on the back of it. Certain ones, those wires have to go to pick up the correct signals. It's a lot of painstaking micro soldering to get these things set up. So I'm going to do that later. This audio connection I just made plugs in right here. So there. As of yet, it's not connected to anything, but still, I feel like I've accomplished something. The other connection goes here. Like I said, nothing's hooked up yet, but hey, at least it looks like I did something. Well, like any other task, this one involves a whole lot of computer preparation work before we can do anything or put anything on the air. We've got to get all of these new systems ready to go with commercials and music and everything else that has to be broadcast that's currently on our on-air systems. It all has to be transferred to the new on-air systems before we put it on the air. That means a lot of time sitting right here moving files around. Well, now you've spent a few days at work with me. You've seen the other half of my life, my day job, which has kept me pretty busy this week. And it promises to keep me pretty busy next week as well. And maybe the week after that. We'll just have to play it by ear and see. But before we go this week, I did want to talk about Pearl just for a moment here. You may remember I had found my fan belt numbers and did a little research to see what I could track down. Well, I checked all my local parts outlets, and there are no belts in stock locally. That really doesn't surprise me. I'm buying stuff for a 45-year-old engine. So I did find the belts online. I can order them, and I can actually order them a lot cheaper than my parts companies around here can order them. So that's exactly what I'm going to end up doing. So hopefully in the next week or so I can pick up at least a couple, maybe all three, of the drive belts for Pearl. And before long we'll see about getting those back on the front of the engine as we continue to slowly get that motor ready to try and get her running again. That's something I'm really looking forward to. For now, I know my day job is going to have to take priority over doing any kind of serious work on Pearl. But still, I can plan, I can prepare, I get those belts. That'll be one less thing I'll have to worry about when I do get that shot to do a little work on the motor. So, we can both look forward to that. Thank you for coming along for the ride, for looking at where I work and what I'm doing this week, okay? Stick around, we may show some more of it next week, and maybe we can get in a little work on Pearl too. Hope you'll stay with us. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. There's a link below to do just that. All it takes is one click, and we'd love to have you as a subscriber to the MT and me. There's also a link where you can buy me a coffee and help with the Pearl restoration project, okay? Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like the video, and share it. That really helps our YouTube algorithms. So, be sure and tune in again next week for another exciting episode of the MT and me. Till then, I'm Russ. Bree is out and about. We will talk later.
There was either 3 dogs or 3 wolves roaming around.
3 dogs or 3 wolves.